Hey everyone, it's Jeremy here to talk to you about the JS Dev environment in 3 different areas. We're going to take a look at catching bugs, we're going to take a look at code formatting, and how to work with the VS Code settings. In fact, all of this is going to be focused inside of our code editor, which happens to be VS Code. So let's get started. Here in VS Code, we have just a typical file here. This is the one that we first get when we create a widget. It's got our index.js file, our index.html, and all this stuff. Okay, so inside of this file, inside of the environment, I have a file here called ESLint.rc that helps us follow some rules when we do our coding. So this is kind of bugs, kind of more along the rules. These rules listed right here will if we break them, we will be alerted to that fact with an underline. This first one, for example, is called no var. This is just going to give us a warning that we can't use the var keyword in our index.js file. So here's our index.js file. I come down here and say var name equals Jeremy. I'm going to get a little bit of an error, a couple errors here. It tells us if I hover over it, that underline, that it says unexpected var. Should be using let or const instead of, and it tells us this is an ESLint rule. So this rule is set in place for me because that's what I put in here, and that's what we will follow as we do this. Now, this works for our code, for any of our files, any of our JavaScript files inside of this project. And there's a ton of rules that you could look up. I'm choosing to use these here, just 3 rules for the time being, but I think we could come up with some more later on. If I do error here, I think what it's going to do, it underlines it in red. Previously, it was just underlining it in green, but here we are going to have a problem. And I think, let's just check something here. Okay, so it lets us build it, but it's still showing us an error. I'm going to look into that because I feel like it should break if there is an error in there. So I'll have to look at that. This is called ESLint. ESLint is a service out there that web developers use for their work. Let's take a look at it. It is right here. ESLint right here. It helps us fix the problems. What I have done is I've installed it into this environment. We can see that in the package.json file. ESLint is installed. I don't know if I have the latest version. I'll have to see. And it finds issues, and it can actually fix the problems as well if we ask it to. And it allows us to do a lot of configuration. So there you go. You can't see it. There we go. I'll turn me off there. There we go. All right. So there's a lot of stuff that this can do, and we've only just barely tapped into what it can do inside of the dev environment. But honestly, what's in there is probably the best of the best at the moment. This is the file that we would want to use. So this works because this is installed into the environment, but I also, in my extensions, which is down here, I have ESLint installed. So if you don't actually have this installed, you can install it so that it can scan your code and find those issues. Of course, you can read about it and learn more about it to see what's going on. But the development environment is set up with a rule enforcer that you can, come in here. You can make changes. You can add to it. You can remove it. You could say, I don't care about this. I'm going to use this no vars all the time. And then there's no error. So this is a good place to configure it. But you do need to have that extension installed. There's a lot of rules that we could follow in the code base or in here. It's just a matter of finding what would be useful to you. The documents show what's possible. And I'm not sure why it's taking me to Threadless. I'm not sure why it's taking me there. Documents. There we go. Okay. So there's a lot of rules that we can follow. Whoops, there it is. We can find them and work through them. Okay. So this is the idea of ESLint. The reason I have this in our environment is just so that we have the same code bases, the same look. If you're looking at my screen when I'm doing something, then you won't get confused if you see underlines in yours and not in mine. Okay, so that's just it. All right, let's go on to the formatting. The next part of the development environment is a prettier library that I've installed along with the extension prettier. See, it's installed right here. And these two things combined together will format my code and make it look pretty, make it look nice. It's a code formatter. This is not the same thing as the ESLint. ESLinting, or the linting service, will check for rules that we break. This will just clean up our code a little bit. And like the ESLint, it comes with a prettier file. This time it's a JSON file. And here are all the formatting options that I have chosen to put into the development environment. For example, let's see here, using a semicolon at the end or not. Okay, single quote, yes or no. Whatever we have set here during our work with the JavaScript, as soon as we save it, then this will reformat and change things up. So right now I have, let's look at that single quote. I have false. I'm going to change that to true. Save this file. Come over here. I'm going to save it, and you can see immediately all of the double quotes turned into single quotes. This is just another formatting idea, making your code look nice. And it's just another option that I've added. Okay. Again, I wanted to make sure that your code and my code look the same, but this is very opinionated. You can do with this what you want, change it as you want. Every time you download a new version of the development environment, you will have to make some adjustments here, but it is a possibility. So this formatter is working with most of the files in our system. We can tell it which files we want it to ignore. We want it to ignore some files that because we don't want it to scan and get bogged down in scanning large folders of hundreds of files. We really just want it to focus on the files that me, the human, is working with. And same for you. Okay. Now, we have to do one more thing on this. We have to ask VS Code to use this prettier engine to clean up the code. And that's done in the settings, which we'll look at in the third version of the third part of this. But I want to bring this up right now and show you what that is. If I hit Command, comma, I'm bringing up the settings here. The settings allow me to search, and I'm going to do formats. And I'm going to ask, one of them is an editor. I think if I widen this out a little bit more, yeah. I see my text editor, and I see formatting, and it gives me format on save. Let's see here. There it is. This is the one I want. Default formatter, prettier code formatter. This is the extension and the library that I want to use. There's a lot of them in here. But we want to use this one because that's the one that we are spending time on writing rules. And again, we are both working together. There's two other options that I have open, format on save and format on paste. Both of these are checked so that, and even I guess format on type, so that when I do those actions that the formatter will run. Okay. So that is the prettier. I like the prettier. There's a lot of options that you could get into and make changes. I've just picked some basic ones that will work for us and will help our code bases be the same. All right, let's look at the third one, and that is the the settings of VS Code in general. The settings are really a complicated piece of a part of VS Code, and I actually haven't gone through all of the settings. I found the settings that work for me, and I think I'm going with those. But the settings help make VS Code run to your satisfaction. The settings are found. Let's just close all of this right here. Keep the repository open, but close everything else and hit Command, comma. Or another way to do that is to hit Control Shift P, open up the command palette, and type in workspace settings. And here is a user interface that gives us a lot of possible, I think, settings for almost anything. There's two different versions of this. There's the user settings and the workspace settings. The user settings are global for every VS Code, every file that you open up in VS Code. And the workspace settings will be specific to this particular project. So I could, if I wanted to, have this project look different than another project. People might do that with the themes, I guess. Let's see if we can find the themes. Appearance, we'll just change the theme here, something different. Okay. Then if I open up another project, because that's a workspace, that should be different than another one that I have. See, yeah, it did switch the theme because this theme, this workspace has a different theme. In fact, I could even come in here and find its theme and make a change here. Let's just do, let's see. Let's just do shades of purple. There we go. So now whenever I open up a different project, I have different themes going on. I don't know. I've never thought about that, but that is a possibility. I like all my widgets to look and feel the same as I'm coding them, so I typically don't even change the theme. But the settings are useful. There are some settings in here that I really like that are useful for the user. Some of them are the size of the. In fact, we could just search for them. Size, font size, can let me control how large or small the text is. Let's see what else. The format on save, we looked at that already. That's checked for me. It's kind of fun just to every once in a while go through the settings and see what I can find and make changes, and see what see what happens. Let's see what else. There is a format or save. I think it's auto save right here. If I've delayed, it'll automatically save it. Now I can kind of give these to you. And in fact, I think I might try, but these are my settings for my global space. Yours might be different. I bet I could export the settings and pass them to you as a JSON file, and then you could import them in the right way and see how that works for you. But yeah, that's one that I use. Oh, I like the cursor. I've been playing with this just for the heck of it. So the block outline is kind of my new cursor for a while. If you can see that there, I'll try to scoot in here. See that? It's just it's a box and it's expanding out and in. So I can change that if I want, and so forth. So it's just fun to come in here and find some settings that might be useful. This is interesting that I could find a font. Could even do some font variations. Yeah, so there's a lot of possibilities here. And I just wanted to show them to you because anything is possible. And if you got an hour and you're not doing anything, you could come in here and find some changes. It's interesting. I haven't figured this out yet, but what I did one time, let me open up another version, somehow I made this one. I can't remember how I did it, but I made the menu bar around this be green for some reason. And the other ones just have the default. I got to figure out where that's at because I can't find how I did that. So that particular project has green set. I don't know where it is, but Anyway, all right. These are the 3 items that I wanted to talk to you about today. Catching bugs using the ESLint, or the rules, I guess, is better. Formatting code with the Prettier plugin extension and the file that's inside of the project, and just various VS Code options settings. So yeah, that's it for you. I hope this was useful. It helps you get to know a little bit more about the development environment, especially VS Code, so that you're not as flummoxed by it. I'm still flummoxed by it, and I use it every single day. So, just know that it's going to take some time. All right. Well, thanks for joining me. Please like and subscribe. Please give this video a like. Please watch it 20 times so we can get those numbers up. I appreciate it. Talk to you later. Bye.